Alright man, so today we're going to be talking about how to activate the Sham God crossover as well as the behind the back crossover. These are both stage 3 dribbles that you can only activate after a stage 2 dribble. If you haven't seen the basic dribble tutorial yet, definitely go and check that out before you proceed watching this video. So we're going to start off with the Sham God. We're going to read the description first. So how to trigger, level 1 out of 1. I believe everyone only has 1 level on this. So let's go ahead and read it. Once phase 2 of nimble crossover is almost over, that means closer to the end of the animation, drag the joystick toward the hand with the ball and tap the crossover button to trigger phase 1 of the Sham God crossover. So when you see phase 1, chances are it is a 2-phase crossover. And once again, if you haven't seen the basic dribble tutorial yet, definitely go and check that out before you proceed with this video, because you will need that information to understand dribble phases. So let's continue reading this. In phase 1 of Sham God crossover, drag the joystick toward the off ball hand to trigger a speedy or slowed phase 2 directional change according to how long the button has been pressed. Then drag the joystick toward the hand with the ball and tap the crossover button to trigger phase 2. So phase 2 allows the player to enter high-speed dribbling. When you have the acceleration master skill, you gain an explosive first step when performing a ball side drive. So a ball side drive is when you do your dribble move in the same direction as the hand with the ball. So make sure y'all keep that in mind. So one thing I want y'all to take note of, because I was extremely confused about this when I first started using this ability, I spent literal hours trying to figure this out. So make sure y'all go ahead and drop a like, man, because this was not easy for me to actually figure out. So the part where it says, where is it? Here we go. So it says drag the joystick toward the off ball hand to trigger a speedy or slowed phase 2 directional change according to how long the button has been pressed. So I'm going to give y'all a demonstration of what they're talking about once we actually get to the training area. So now we're going to take a look at behind the back crossover. I believe the description on this one is like much shorter. So let's go ahead and read it. How to trigger. In phase 2 of nimble crossover, drag the joystick in the opposite direction and hold the crossover button. Very important that you hold the crossover button, because if you simply tap it, you'll just do a regular crossover, and 9 times out of 10 you will run into your defender holding that defend button. So cannot enter high speed dribble with this move. You cannot enter high speed dribble with it, but you can get an explosive first step. They will mention that later. Well, they actually mentioned that before. So during the behind the back crossover, drag the joystick toward the hand with the ball and tap the crossover button to trigger a ball side drive and enter a high speed dribble. So if you have the acceleration master skill, an explosive first step will be triggered. And drag the joystick toward the off ball hand and tap the crossover button to trigger a special pullback dribble with increased quick juke effectiveness. So it's very difficult to actually go into a regular crossover with this. As a matter of fact, I don't even think it's possible, because I've tried so many times and he just goes into a quick step back. So remember when we talked about the tap step backs yesterday? That's basically the same thing. That he's going to go into a quick step back. Even if you hold the button, he's going to go into a quick step back if you do an opposite hand dribble. So let's go to the training area. Go ahead and tell y'all how to actually get these activated. So just like I said before, once again, definitely check out the basic dribble tutorial before you proceed with this video. Very important that you understand dribble phases. So once again, Sham God is a phase 3 dribble, which means it can only be activated after a phase 2 dribble. And just because it's a phase 3 dribble does not mean that it does not have multiple phases. So you can go into a second phase using this Sham God. And since behind the back dribble is also a phase 3 dribble, you can use those 2 stages on your Sham God to jump into a behind the back. But we're going to look at that after we get done telling y'all how to activate these abilities separately. So let's go ahead and get to it. So the first thing you want to do, you want to do your phase 1 dribble. You can see right now we're doing our phase 1, doing our phase 1s, doing our phase 1s. Step back also counts as a phase 1. So all those phase 1 dribbles right there, that's going to be the first dribble inside your sequence. The second thing you want to do, you want to jump into a phase 2 dribble, just like that. Second phase dribble, you can see right there. Phase 1, then phase 2. Then after you get done doing that, you want to make sure you're holding your analog in the same direction as the hand with the ball. So you can see my ball. You can see the ball. Pause, man. You can see the ball is in the hand, his left hand right now. And after we get done doing our crossover, it's going to end up in the left hand as well. So we're going to make sure we hold our analog to the left after we get done doing our crossover, and then we're going to tap our crossover button. So let's go ahead and take a look at it here. 1, 2, then we jump into the Sham God, just like that. So that's phase 1 of the Sham God. Now we're going to talk about phase 2. You can actually activate phase 2 by accident, but you cannot activate the delayed phase 2 by accident because you literally have to do that on purpose. So let's go ahead and look at the phase 2. You can either go into a crossover, a high-speed dribble, or a step back on this phase 2. So let's go ahead and look at all three. So 1, 2, Sham God. And we just go into a high-speed dribble right there. So you do not get the explosive first step when you go into a high-speed dribble off your Sham God. So make sure y'all keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the step back. So it's phase 1, phase 2. Then we just, oh man, I actually did a high-speed dribble. Let's run that back. Phase 1, phase 2. And then we jump into the step back. Just like that, man. And make sure y'all also keep in mind that the step back ability, if you activate the step back after a phase 1 dribble, then it will reset your dribble phases to phase 1. Make sure y'all keep that in mind. Extremely important if you want to actually combo your abilities and get what you want from them. All right, so last, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the crossover off of this. So 1, 2, just like that. Oh, man. Wrong hand. Sorry, bro. There we go. Beautiful crossover. So now we're going to go ahead and show y'all the delayed crossover. So you're going to notice, I'm going to do a slow motion afterwards too, so that y'all can get an even closer look at it. So we're going to take a look at the delay here. Oh, crap. Keep accidentally doing a high-speed dribble, bro. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. There we go. As you can see, he held his hand just a little bit longer than he usually would off the crossover. So that's pretty much it when it comes down to the Sham God. Just make sure y'all keep in mind, Sham God is a phase 3 dribble with 2 phases that you can also link phase 3 dribbles to. So let's go ahead and talk about behind the back. We talked about Sham God enough. So let's go ahead and take a look at it here. So behind the back is also a phase 3 dribble. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Just like that. Very important that you hold your crossover button, because if you don't hold it, you're just going to go into a regular crossover like this. If you don't want that, make sure you're holding your crossover button. So there's not really much more to go into when it comes down to behind the back, but we will talk about that explosive first step. So let's go ahead and take a look at it here. Just like that. You see the explosive first step and our acceleration master coming right after. So yeah, man. Make sure y'all keep in mind, these are both phase 3 dribbles. It can only be activated after a phase 2. So phase 1, phase 2, just like that. Or phase 1, phase 2, you can also do it behind the back as well as a Sham God off of just this regular phase 2 right here. And make sure y'all also keep in mind that you can link behind the back dribbles to Sham Gods, and you can also link Sham Gods to behind the back dribbles. You just have to make sure that you know what you're doing, man. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, because I told y'all we were actually going to look at that. I uploaded a short yesterday doing that actually. There we go. Straight into the Sham God. So yeah. Make sure you remember step back will reset your dribble phases to phase 1. Make sure you remember that these are both phase 3 dribbles that can only be activated after phase 2. Also remember that both of these dribbles have 2 phases, which means you can link phase 3 dribbles to the end of them. So all right, man, we can go ahead and wrap this video up. Y'all want to see more of this? Go ahead and drop a like, sub to the channel, and I'll catch y'all on the next one, man.